Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Global Innovation Strategy Spotlight on Strategy. Today, we are in for a treat because we are going to continue our performance excellence conversation that we were having earlier in the year. It is now the end of September, kicking off into October, and there is no better time for each and every one of you to become more familiar or beginning your familiarization journey with the Baldrige Performance Excellence Framework. Why does this matter? It's because no matter if you are a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, a business leader, someone looking to get into business, you're a middle manager, you're a SME, you're a team leader, there's going to be tools that you can use to drive holistic improvement within your organization. What is the outcomes that harnessing Baldrige Performance Excellence Framework really focused on? And that is driving improvement. So if we look at it through the lens of continuous improvement, continuous innovation, no matter the methods that we use to drive that, the framework is going to offer us a cohesive, A, common lexicon, B, core values, C, a roadmap for success, and D, many tools in a toolkit to help each and every one of you get there, no matter if you're just starting or you're very mature. It offers something for every organizational size. And even if you, again, are not a business owner, it's going to help you understand how you can best help your customers through a voice of the customer lens, as well as help create improvement and excellent momentum, no matter where you are currently at within organization. And then it allows you to strategically understand the key impact areas that you want to perhaps put in your performance plan, or perhaps you want to start up a special innovation initiative, etc. All of these tools are going to help you. So today we're just going to get refamiliarized. Again, for those not familiar, if you just Google Baldrige Performance Excellence, you're going to find a web page that not only has the framework, but multiple improvement tools that you can harness and use. I'm not going to traverse there because I want you to really navigate this through the lens of where you're at currently and moving forward to where you want to be. And these tools are going to help you get there. So the first and foremost is, before we start any journey, much like if we're doing coaching, we're doing consulting, we need to really understand our current state. And so they help us through many assessments. This Baldrige framework page will give you not only the framework, but it will give you tools. One of the tools is an assessment tool. Actually, there's multiple assessment tools. And I'd like to take just a brief moment to help you all understand the power of what these mean to you. Because A, it helps you gauge what you can use to understand your current state or your baseline. And then B, what other tools are in the toolkit to help you move forward as you mature from an improvement, an innovation, and an excellence standpoint. Again, this framework can be harnessed no matter if you're CMMI, if you are using lean enterprise, if you're using safe agile to implement, if you're using other Six Sigma, Lean Six Sigma, DMAIC, etc. Right? It's more about our vocabulary, the way that we chunk or categorize how we're approaching a certain part of our organizational excellent journey. And then the rubrics, if you will, that we use to be able to help us understand current state and move out on future state. So again, not proscriptive, other than supplying you a cohesive context and framework with which you can harness many tools, innovation, improvement, excellence that you wish to help guide your future activities forward. So the first and foremost, as we know, oftentimes how excellence is perceived, how innovation is perceived, et cetera, is through the lens of the leaders that are having those conversations with us. And so Bouldridge has given us a phenomenal program to understand how we're being perceived, how we're showing up, what others are seeing in us. And so I want to drive awareness of the fact that there is a how are we doing as leaders assessment. And not only that, there's an assessment called, are you a role model leader? So especially when we look at the world of quality, innovation, improvement, and excellence, our leaders, our advocates, our champions have to go through their own inner change, their own inner elevation, to then be able to represent the qualities and the elements that their organizational peers, their customers, their partners, their workforce is going to be looking at for them to demonstrate and talk about. So again, those two constructs, are you a role model leader, and how are we doing as leaders? So if we look at the core and the crux of that, what we're doing is we're creating dialogue. We're doing inner assessment. We're creating dialogue with our workforce, our partners, our executive team, our customers, around what their perceptions are. And what we're at the deeper level, what we're doing is creating trust and transparency, because we want to share the fact that we're doing an assessment so that we can take these programs to the next level. We want to invite participation so that we can share with them that their perceptions, their experiences, their voice matters, and that it's going to be used as the executive team or the organization focuses on these areas and moves out on their future state. Then the next aspect is, are you a role model leader? So if excellence, right, if we look at it through the lens of excellence, wouldn't we want those attributes to be associated with our champions, our advocates, our senior leaders, so that we are perceived as walking the talk of excellence and innovation and improvement? So both of these rubrics and assessments will help you in a very easily digestible manner understand current state for each of you, because this is not a one size, each assessment has to be taken personally by someone on your team, because it's focused on them. But the aggregate results and feedback that you get will, of course, show patterns and trends that then can be made actionable by the organization as a whole. It's more important to have, I would say, interested and uninterested parties, just so you understand where might there be a gap in perception of how you're showing up. Are you walking the talk? Are you exhibiting behaviors that will enable the organization to excel? So it doesn't matter, again, if you are a SME, a team lead, a middle manager, an executive, a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, having partnerships, working with the customers and the clients directly in some type of forward-facing role. It's important for you to understand how you're being perceived, and these assessments will enable you to understand, for those that are familiar with you, what the perception is, for those who are not so directly connected or familiar, how you're being perceived there. And it will help you, if you take that into consideration, build a bridge with the different populations that you're serving. A, because it will help you become more aware of the populations you're serving. B, because there's different messaging and techniques that we use to drive excellence, improvement, and innovation, depending on the stakeholder population. And C, it will help you be able to build a bridge or repair or remediate. And every time we go through this, what happens is our organization gets stronger. We're building community fabric, we're building collaboration, we're strengthening communication, and we're opening the door to very candid conversations built on trust and transparency. All in and of itself are enablers for your organizational achievement of your goals, objectives, outcomes, and results. So again, I invite you, as strong excellence, innovation, improvement oriented leaders, to take a look at the leadership related assessments. The next thing we have is to, once we understand where our personnel and workforce and executive and management team land along that continuum, then we need to now take that to the next level and understand our organization. And it's so there are some assessments directly related to the organizational entity, and they're called, are we making progress? And then also an easy insight. So think of this as a Baldrige framework assessment light. Each of these are an introduction to the context and the concepts and the core values, an introduction to the various elements within the framework, as well as an easy way to help you weight the assessment criteria or categories, and then help you move forward. So again, we're trying to make this streamlined so that personnel and organizations that do not have a deep knowledge or deep experience with this can get it. They can easily understand and digest the core elements, they can understand the context, they can understand the vocabulary, and then they can put it into action easily and quickly, and have those results create a baseline that then they can then work off. Because basically what we're doing is we're opening the door for a multi-year maturation in improvement, in innovation, and in excellence, because it's the mindset shift and the cultural shift that's going to occur, that's going to help us gain greater levels of momentum and performance, because we're going to be highly focused on every aspect of our organization that is not performing at a level that's going to drive excellence, higher improvement, innovation, and ultimately our outcome and results that we've stated is so important through our strategic goals and our objectives. So it really helps us holistically turn an organization around, starting person by person by person by person, no matter the role or the title. This is actually even something you can take and harness and use within your community groups, within the nonprofits you serve, and even within your own family. Yes, you'll have to do a little bit of tweaking with the language, but the core concept is, how are you showing up? Are you walking the talk? Are you being the person that is exhibiting the behaviors necessary to move whatever that construct is forward in a cohesive, collaborative, trusting, transparent way? And that's what the power of the Baldrige framework and the performance excellence programs are. Okay, now moving forward, you say, okay, we've done our leadership assessments, we've created our baseline, we're working on improvement, we've done our initial mini assessments and assessments like. Now what do? Now we have tools such as an organizational profile. That's a more robust way of assessing your organization across the plethora of Baldrige performance excellence areas. And so for those that are not familiar with those, we have the ultimate focus here is in greater results outcomes that are holistically examined for inclusion of all of the other elements. So we'll start with the end in mind, the results that the organization, solopreneur, entrepreneur, entity, team is wanting to achieve. We work backwards to how we can look at that from an operational standpoint, and then from our workforce engagement or your team engagement. We're then going to integrate that with voice of the customer, our strategic framework, the leadership attributes and actions, and then undergirded with our measurement, analysis, and knowledge management systems and processes, and then further bolstered through our core values and our concepts. So an organizational profile helps us examine each and every one of those areas to help us understand current state, and then helps guides us forward on the improvements that we want to make in the areas of excellence and innovation, and most of all, the results we're attempting to achieve through harnessing each and every one of those other elements. So we measure and assess across each of those. We examine our results and outcomes that we said we wanted to achieve, and then we find multiple levers that we can then pull to move us forward into higher levels of execution and continued momentum through the use of these tools. You might say, I'm only a solopreneur, or I'm an entrepreneur, or I'm a small business. And good thing, because they have a tool for you called the Foundations for a Successful Business. Yes, geared towards the smalls and the starting, but you know what? Just as applicable no matter the size, because we're looking at these core elements. We're looking at leadership, we're looking at workforce, and then we're looking at our process and our technological enablers to enable us to achieve excellence, innovation, and improvement outcomes that we've stated is most important for us at this point in time. Yes, you can factor in the 1 year, 3 year, 5 year strategic plan, 10 year, 20 year, whatever that looks like for you and your board, your executive teams, etc. All of that can be factored into the excellence journey. So the focus is more about understanding where you're at, and then understanding the gap between where you're at and where you want to be, no matter the time period, and then prioritizing the lever, the people, process, or technology levers that you want to pull in the next time increment, fiscal year, calendar year, quarter, month, whatever, to enable higher rates of execution outcome that is excellence oriented, improvement oriented, innovation oriented. So again, in closure and summary for today, our Spotlight on Strategy session was focused on harnessing the Baldrige Performance Excellence Framework and the tools and their cohesive toolkit, no matter if you are a solopreneur, entrepreneur, small business, medium, large, community group, nonprofit, academic institution, regulated organization, to the betterment of your financial, resourcing, and programmatic outcomes. So everything you stated that is in your strategic goals and objectives, how you operationalize into initiatives, how you then support and bolster the culture change and workforce and leadership changes needed to drive momentum and achievement into the future. So I invite you, if you're not familiar with the framework, to go Google Baldrige Performance Excellence. If you are familiar with the framework, to Google the tools associated with the framework so that you can better understand how they can be harnessed and leveraged to help each and every one of you reach your performance excellence outcomes and results that are most important at this point in time. Again, this is Dr. Rhonda Farrell, the CEO of Global Innovation Strategies, the success strategist, signing off for today. And again, an invitation and a welcome to you to learn more about these fantastic tools at your disposal to drive astronomical results for your teams and your organizations.